Oh gosh, Wendy. Call the Board of Trustees meeting to order, May 16th, 2018. First order of the day is Associate Justice salary, and there are actually another couple of things to discuss on this matter, but Judge Scordo is here. So, I'm sure you've all seen correspondence in regard to different things within the courts. The first one I would like to discuss is there is a new court clerk in that office. There's a little confusion whether or not it is a civil service position or not a civil service position, and we've been back and forth with different entities. It can be an exempt position. However, we have to petition for that to happen, as we have done for other entities within our village. And that is the recommendation of Judge Scordo and myself, is that we would proceed with that exemption. Would you agree with that?
Yes, thank you.
The individual in that position is a qualified civil service employee, shall we say, and is probably reachable on the list. However, we as the board have reported many times in the past that we feel that is a full-time position, and having as many cases as there are on a weekly basis, we feel the need to have filled that position, essentially on a temporary basis, but that is a full-time position. So that is up for discussion or further questioning. There are many other courts who do not have a civil service clerk, and this is not an uncommon thing. The individual in that position does not feel that it is necessary to be a civil service employee. So I would ask for your comments or suggestions, or a motion to continue with that process.
Continue with that process, and we're going down the right path. We're going to make sure this is all correct.
I agree with you. Is that a motion that you're making, Chairman?
I'll make that motion to continue, yeah.
I have one question.
Absolutely.
Is there any issues from council that you see that we should be concerned about in doing this?
No, I mean, a lot of court positions are considered exempt. You know, so I would think that getting the exemption shouldn't be too hard, but you got to satisfy civil service on that. So I think it's perfectly appropriate to apply for it, sure.
All right. I'll second the motion.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that's approved. The next discussion is the compensation for our associate justice, correct? I'm saying that right. In the past, we've had many discussions. In the past, we have paid our associate justice different rates, whether it was per hour for arraignment, for a felony arraignment, or for a complete arraignment. And the per hour was when court was being held. And it is suggested that we review that. And Judge Scordo has gone through some calculations here of what she feels would be more appropriate. Do you want to say anything on this matter?
Sure.
I'll say you're the one really presenting it.
Well, I think what the difference is, and I think obviously Judge Defone's here, so he might be able to back me up on this one. I think I'm the first justice that's actually had an outside full-time job as well as doing part-time justice work. So I think the other justices had a little more time to put in than I do. And don't get me wrong, I calculated my hours just before I came between March 20th when I was elected and today, and I'm working an average at the village between 15 and 35 hours a week for just me. It's a heavy calendar, which I'm sure that I also have conflicts that were not imputed to other justices since I'm the court attorney for Lewis County. So there's cases that I can't hear. So Ricky has been taking over some of those cases. Not a lot by any means. She's taken 2 conflict cases where I was actually the prosecutor on a couple of JV cases, and they're now defendants in front of the court, so I can't do those. So she's got those. And there was another one where I was actually a witness to the event, so I couldn't take that case. So she's handling that kind of case. There's summary proceedings, small claims actions, and other civil part proceedings where, say, an LLP or a corporation is asking for the debt to be paid to the dentist or something like that. That Ricky has more training in than I do, based on the fact that she's watched all the training videos on it, above and beyond school. And I also have conflicts with Margaret Hanno, who is one of the biggest landlords in town, who files a lot of these sons proceedings, because she's my son's grandmother. So I can't hear her cases. Kevin McCardle also represents, I'm not going to say this right, I think it's the Housing Authority, or the,
could be.
I'm not sure what the actual name of the Housing Authority is, but he does all of their evictions for the former 801 housing too, and those types of things. But I have appeals that are in front of me in county court that came out of County Martinsburg Court that Kevin issued. So it's a conflict for me to hear Kevin's cases when his appeals are in front of me. So I can't hear those cases at this time. So my suggestion was, based on the average number of hours that I gave you, that I computed it 2 different ways. And mind you, between January and April, Ricky would have put in less hours, obviously, because she wasn't taking the bench and she was assisting Judge Defoe. Now she is taking the bench. And what we've done the last 2 court nights was she actually takes the bench in there at 3:30 in the small courtroom. I take the bench here at 3 o'clock. She does the summary proceedings, which will take approximately 45 minutes to an hour if everybody shows up on time, take the testimony and so forth, and then she will come back out here and help our courtroom move faster. An example of that would be we had 104 cases on the Tuesday before last, I believe it was, and she sat there, signed all the carrying orders, filled out the assigned counsel vouchers, approved them. I heard the cases, and then the clerk ran the receipts. So we did 104 cases between 4 to 5 and 4 to 7, which was pretty significant, I thought. So she's very helpful to me. She's not just sitting here watching by any means. So my suggestion was that she takes those summary proceedings and the minimal conflicts that I have on criminal cases, and those are scheduled for her on the same court nights but in a different court. So I averaged the hours that she is doing. The only thing I didn't add in there is if I'm unavailable some evening and she has to come out in the middle of the night. And then, I mean, today I had to come down for an arraignment, so that took an hour and 15 minutes by the time, we waited for the public defender to show up, we did process carrying orders and all the other orders that had to be done. It's very time consuming. And if I can't be reached in the middle of the night, she would have to be called. So it would be another 2 hours for her. And I did not take that into consideration because she hasn't had to have been called yet. So I don't know if there's something different we can do in that instance, or I'm looking for suggestions. And the way I computed it, she's obviously making twice as much as me. I was very conservative about what she, what she is being paid. Because if you average out the time I'm spending versus the pay, I'm making about $8 an hour. And I realize it's a community service job, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yes. All of us are community servants, even though we may have a little stipend to show for it. Yes, exactly. I understand. So that was, the suggestion is number of hours for the month would be 12 hours for court and also in the office 16 hours per month is the estimated average. Came up with an amount of $16 an hour, suggested salary for her if we were to do on an annual basis, which is what we've done with your position and essentially our positions, be $5,376 per year. Obviously that's something that we...
That's just her salary though, right?
budgeting purposes and things, we need to look at Social Security, retirement, health insurance.
So,
I mean, I would like an accurate figure.
so,
Accurate figure for what, Mr. Biggs?
What's that?
What would you mean by an accurate figure?
What it's going to cost the village for the whole year. I mean,
if
when
we're,
I look at it, I look at it more than salary. I figure it would be, whether it be a DPW employee or one of our officers. When I'm looking at the village's budget in general, I want to know what the salary's going to be, what we're paying out for Social Security benefits, basically. I guess what I'm saying is, her salary's $5,000. Are the benefits going to be $5,000? So the total as a package going to be like, say, $10,500 or something.
Okay,
I mean, I got to look
So-
at what it's going to cost, the whole package, not just part of it.
Okay. It's my understanding that as part-time employees, that neither one of us get any additional benefits. We don't get the health insurance or anything like that. That's what you're referring to. I understand that there's Social Security taxes or wages that need to be paid.
Social Security is just a small
And
part.
Medicare, right. And I understand that has to be paid on payroll, and pay what she could,
So she wouldn't be
you pay
getting,
that.
she wouldn't be getting our health insurance?
No, I
No.
don't either.
no, she
What
has
about
don't
state
get any
retirement?
benefits.
we don't get health insurance, they don't get health insurance.
What about retirement?
No.
Okay, well,
Re-
So that
re-
is the package.
that's what I need cleared up.
Yeah.
We're fine now. No,
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I thought
retirement,
that it would save the village money, quite honestly, by
Yeah.
doing it as a package deal on a salary basis, because if she does get called in on the night and you're doing it at $16 an hour, like my salary is supposed to be averaged at $16 an hour, only working 8 6-hour days, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, 8 6-hour days a month. I'm working 5 times that. So my salary should be $16 an hour, but it's not. It's
well, see where I'm
7 or 8.
coming from is like your court clerk would get health insurance and
Right.
But she's
retirement.
making less than my prior court clerk, so we save some money there.
Yeah.
right. So, right, so I don't know how it works, honestly, I'm gonna tell you. Retirement, they keep track of their hours for 3 months. And that can be submitted, but I don't know that we pay any additional for that. It's actually credited time. I don't think it's necessarily credited.
You pay towards retirement.
We pay additional towards retirement.
For anybody that you have that's in the retirement system.
Okay.
Is this gonna be more than our budget is now? Will it be what our budget is? Is it gonna be less?
So-
Because my feeling is, we passed the budget, and our budget is what we've said to the taxpayers, and so that's where we need to stand this year. If what we're talking about is gonna be equal to or less than, I don't know if there's any real issues, but if it's more than that, then it's an issue.
So here's our budget. For payroll, for the just the justice office, $34,750. There's equipment, which is $10,000, which is a JCAP grant. Supplies and materials, $1,300. Professional and technical services is $2,800, and operations and maintenance is $500. The total of that comes to $49,350.
Of which 34,000 X amount of dollars is for salaries and benefits.
That does not include benefits. I asked
Well,
Pam this
salary,
today.
okay.
So the clerk position, what is budgeted is $23,000 per year. The judge is $10,250, and the acting justice is $1,500. Now, the other thing is because essentially you are hoping that these accounts balance out, just like our planning board, our zoning board of appeals. You're hoping that what you're bringing in offsets the cost to run these entities, right? The fines and forfeited bail has been $43,879, so almost $44,000, $39,000, $40,000. The estimated for this year, it was through 1/31, which is half of our year, was $35,864. Estimated through the end of the year is $53,796. In our budget is $45,000.
Jennifer is proposing, correct me if I'm wrong, you're proposing a flat rate for the
Yes.
associate judge, And right now, we pay her per diem per call.
We haven't paid her anything.
But that's what it's set up to be, correct?
It's set up so that when she's acting
Okay,
as
right.
the judge, whether it's taking things or whatever, she would submit those hours. But any hours working in the office or any hours assisting next to her are not charged,
Only when
let's say, to
she's
the
the
village.
judge.
Then
Just
arraignments are a price and a felony
Right, and then,
arraignment is separate.
right, and then arraignments are a separate fee as well.
So any conflicts, we're gonna need to use the other judge, and we're gonna have to pay them each time, or pay Ricky each time that happens. Or whenever she's called in.
You have to pay
Correct.
Ricky each time I assign her something, because she acts in my direction.
Correct.
And the
Yeah,
problem is, I disagree wholeheartedly with the comment that she doesn't get paid unless she's sitting on that bench. She still has to complete financial reports and submit reports to the state. It takes 4 or 5 hours to do that a week. She has to write checks. She has to fill out securing orders and orders of protection and enter them into the system. She has to converse with the clerk to make sure that fines and surcharges are being paid and forwarded where they were supposed to be. It's not just sitting on a bench. Right.
Right, but that's how
And I
we have it
believe
set
that
up,
the
I believe, right now.
Mayor's Association has also given an opinion on that, which says they get paid whether they're sitting on the bench or not.
Through NICOM,
NICOM has issued opinions on that.
so if we, just to go back a little bit, if we have a clerk position, and I use these numbers at $12 an hour, is $21,840 salary a year. I asked Pam today what the benefits are of that position, because I knew that you would be asking financials. $14,938.56 in benefits, if that is the full health benefits, dental, everything, is $36,778.56 total. That includes retirement, Social Security, Blue Cross Blue Shield, the dental, and the HRA and the HSA, and workman's comp. Roughly. Might be slightly less because there's no uniform allowance with that amount.
Let me understand one thing. We have a budget of $34,000 for salaries, and basically.
But our benefits are not in that, yeah.
That doesn't matter to
Okay.
where I'm heading. Basically, what we have said though is we're going to pay so much per time somebody's called in. So really, that $34,000 budget that we have, it doesn't really amount to anything.
It's a flexible budget
And
depending on.
I appreciate her talking about the conflicts, which tells me we're going to have to use the associate judge more. And I see in the comments that she made that in the summer she's not here on weekends because so we're going to use the judge a lot more, I'm assuming. So I don't see any choice but to, I mean, this $34,000 could easily become $50,000, $60,000 from what I'm hearing. And
And you notice the prior budgets from the prior years too. This budget is the lowest that it has been in the last 6 years. So the budget has been higher than the previous 6 years. I'm not sure why it was budgeted lower this year. I mean, the statutes are clear that the village has a choice. You have 2 elected judges that you pay the same, or you have 1 elected judge who acts at the direction with an associate judge that you can appoint that acts at the elected judge's direction. So that was a choice that was made by the village when they set the budget.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why the budget was set so low, to be quite honest with you.
Yep. So 15-16 it was $50,451. 16-17 $54,964. 17-18 was $43,437. And then this year was $49,350. And part of that, I think also, just so you know, has to do with how much we're doing. If we get JCAP grants and stuff for equipment, that does go into that budget. So there are years where we didn't have any grants that we received. So that was the lower year of 43,7. And then this year's 10,000.
I also talked to the state mayor about getting 2 scanners, and they've approved that for me, but I just have to fill out the paperwork.
Awesome.
Discussing the scanner, the
Right.
scanning issue.
Right. Thank you.
Well, it's obvious to me that I think somehow with that 34,000, we should change the per call to a flat rate.
We're only talking about a $3,000 difference from what we budgeted for. Paying Ricky that $5,000.
And it's up to the
Right.
court from there. If she comes in twice, she gets the flat rate. If she comes in 200 times, she gets the flat rate. And that's between the court. That's not us.
It'd be a monthly or bi-weekly. I don't know how it's.
Flat rate would be divided by 12.
Right.
12 months in a year.
She preferenced that 2 weeks like I do, but that's hers.
I just got a question on the office hours.
Yes.
I was looking at your second scenario. And you're talking 3 to 5 hours per week to do her paperwork associated with files and the monthly reports and things. With a full-time court clerk, my question is, does she need, say, 5 hours? Would it get by with 3? I mean, why? I mean, we have a full-time court clerk that should be able to help her with some of
And I
that.
didn't average it at 5, I averaged it in the middle at 4 hours. But the court clerk is not allowed to do our monthly reports. She has to do that on her own.
Okay.
There's other things that the court clerk can't do. She can't set fines and surcharges. She can't sign letters adjourning cases. She can't, there's a number of certain things that a court clerk just cannot do.
Okay, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so that's why I averaged it at 3 to 5 hours a week, but she's got the benefit of the community service aspect to her end of it too. You know, and she understands that.
Yoda?
But you're looking at,
You're avocado. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, John, finish.
with the court and the office, you're estimated to be about 5376 a year.
I believe that's.
Yep, with
Is that the right
28,
number?
with 28
Yes.
hours per
Will
month.
she be working more hours than I averaged? Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not, like you say, she could get called in on the weekend, but I mean, on the average, we could be
Exactly.
looking at
That's
that.
with no call-ins on the weekend,
Yeah.
or anything other than what she's doing right now.
She's going to cover every weekend in the summer when you're gone.
It doesn't have to be every weekend. I'm not gone every single weekend.
That's the way I read it.
But,
Right, but like, I go on vacation, Joe helps out.
Yeah. And I understand that, but it just said she's away on weekends in the summer, didn't say certain weekends, so that's why I asked the
well, let me
question.
just say that if it's raining, I'm home. Which was 90% of the summer last year. But
So if it's sunny
generally-
all, if it's sunny all 8 weekends, you'll be up there.
Exactly. But if it's raining, I'll be here all like weekend.
And the other judge is willing to cover those 8 weekends.
Well, that's her job.
That's her job. She
Okay.
works in my direction.
All right, okay.
Good question?
No, I don't have a question, I have a statement to make.
Okay.
You talked a little bit about the revenue that the court brings in.
Mm-hmm.
Justice is not based upon revenue.
Correct.
I don't care if we don't bring a penny in, as long as the correct justice is completed and taken care of. That having been said, I don't have an issue with what we're talking about here other than that.
I don't either have an issue with it once I know exactly where we're coming from.
And I think also part of I think the underlying concern is that Ricky's doing a lot of work in assisting Judge Scordo. And she's done a lot of work training with Rich before she even went to schooling.
Yes, she did.
So that has to hold some value on behalf of the village in making decisions. You know, it's one thing where I know what the history has been And it's unfortunate that, I guess that Rich served on the bench with Pat every other week and never got a dime for serving, you know what I mean, beside her. Then she reversed the roles and vice versa, and you would do certain court nights and you would submit those hours. That's how it has worked in the past. But I think the underlying fear is there is a lot of work to do, and we feel she's, I guess, Judge Scordo, and I think we all agree that she's been trained. She's getting a very good handle on this job, and do we wish to lose that? Would be the other counter to this conversation.
I agree with Charlie about the dimes that come in don't matter. I'm a firm believer in a budget that's passed. That being said, I don't have any problem altering it any way we can, but I think we should live very closely within that budget because that's what we've told the taxpayers. And from there, because I remember in reading one of Jennifer's emails, basically, the only thing that we have to oversee to the court is the budget, and I agree with that. That's true. That being said, we passed the budget, right, wrong, or indifferent, and we've passed it to taxpayers. So I'm very conscious of that, and I want to make sure that we do our due diligence to make that work, and then from there, the court system does what it has to do.
I agree with you, Mr. Solomon. I believe we are only talking a $3,000 difference from what the budget was. We're going to save some money on equipment because I did secure 2 scanners from the state, which I understood from talking to the mayor is there's an issue with a backlog of files at the police department that need to be scanned in. So we've done that. And that's one of the goals that we have for the clerk when she gets trained too.
So what you're telling me is that 3,000 pretty much will be a wash, or you're saying it'll be 3,000 more after everything?
No, I believe based on what
3,000.
the budget is set at now,
Right.
I'm asking for only an additional 3,000 to pay what our budget is.
And you're saying the other side is going to cover that for the 53,000?
I believe so because we're getting 2 scanners from the state.
When will this annual salary begin? April 1st?
Well, that's the
Back to
question.
April 1st?
Does it begin April 1st? Or do we go back to January when she was in training with Rich?
If I can just comment on that, Mayor, and I don't want to speak for Ricky, maybe you can tell me what was exactly said at the beginning, but it was her understanding that she was going to be paid a certain amount per hour and she was to submit timesheets. She actually has put timesheets together, but since we had ongoing discussions, I had asked her, please don't submit what you have now. I don't want everybody to get angry about this. Let's
Right.
just go forward and see what we can do now. It would be nice to get her something. She did work, I believe it was 74 or 77 hours between January and the end of April, which is not
74.
a significant number, but she wasn't taking the bench then.
Correct.
So if she could get some kind of compensation for that, I think if somebody asked Judge DeFone, he would attest that she wasn't just sitting there watching him. She was helping fill out paperwork and helping do things.
Right.
Going back to the original interviews with her for that position, I believe it was made very clear that Judge DeFone had always, when he was learning, sat there to learn, was not paid. And that probably that was going to be the way it's going to be for her too, if I recall correctly, because I was involved in it. So I think at least during her training, I thought it was pretty clear to her that she was going to not be paid, but it was going to be a learning curve. Now, how long
Right.
that was going to be, I don't know.
And the rates that we currently have were also discussed at that, which she would only get paid if she was holding court.
Right.
Type
Which
of a thing.
I do disagree with, because there's case law that says it doesn't matter. The judge gets paid whether in court or out of court, if they're working.
Right.
So I don't agree with that at all.
Right.
And you have to remember, if she was appointed, so if you
Correct.
appoint somebody to a position and they're physically in the building working, they should get paid. If they didn't want to
Rather
pay her,
than
she
holding
shouldn't have been
court.
appointed as the associate justice.
Can you appoint someone as an associate justice and pay them if they haven't had school?
Absolutely.
Okay?
They can't take the bench until they've had training.
But they can do everything else.
They can't take the bench until they've had training from Albany? or from
Right,
here?
which is what we sent them to
They
the
have to go through the
second week of
state training.
April.
Or if they're appointed before that and if they're doing work, whether they're taking the bench or not, they're still entitled to pay.
I wasn't involved in the interview, so that I can't.
And that's all right.
I've already
Charlie.
said what I thought occurred at the time.
Yep.
I can tell you what occurred.
Please.
When she was appointed, it was made clear to her, I'd like to see her get money, yes. It was very clear to her that what I had done, I had come in, sat with Pat till I could go get my training and learn and be ahead of things. And that was very clear to her that if you want to come in, sit there, see how things run, and towards the end of my term is when I got her into, okay, you're running a calendar, I'll let you take people over, explain the form for the public defender's office, how to fill it out, and start working you in that way.
Do you remember the dates, Judge, when she started doing that? Because to me, that's when she's actually doing the working rather than observing, if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
She start middle of January, I think, observing.
Yeah, it was
Or the
after
end.
the first of the year.
Yeah.
Well, she got timesheets, that's probably gonna tell you.
I think it was January 12th.
Okay.
And she came in most court nights and sat there and watched how, and I worked with her, this is how this form is, how it's
Yeah.
filled out, what it means, this is how we do an arraignment, working with her like that, because technically she couldn't do anything until she got her training.
Right.
Right.
And at the very end of my term, I was trying to work her, let her work a little bit to get the feel of working with the people. And you doing a little bit, that wouldn't be construed as being out of her jurisdiction.
Whether it was made clear to her at the very beginning that this is what had happened in the
Once she
past
got
and this is
her
what's
training.
going to happen again in the future, it doesn't mean that what happened in the past was correct. Once we went to that training, it was expressed to us that if you're an associate justice, you were appointed on this date, doesn't matter if you've been to school or not, you get paid for the hours you were present in that courthouse and working. So this is where that came from. There is case law, there's attorney general opinions, there's all kinds of opinions that say when you are appointed to a position, you're entitled to be paid if you're in the building doing something. And that's why I'm here trying to get something that satisfies her from January to the end of, or the beginning of April, I guess it would be, to when she took the taking the bench course.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. From the middle of January, it sounds like she was a lot more involved in what we might consider actually working. Prior to that, it seems like it was observing only.
No, in January started her observations.
Oh, January started her
So let's say
observation?
March would have been more involved before she'd gone to school.
But you normally get trained, you get paid for training as well. You see what I'm saying? Like if somebody gets
With all
hired at a
four of
job
my
and they're
eyes.
getting trained while they're on the job, you get paid for that. Just like when she went to the school, she should have been paid 10 hours a day for being in the school. She's not asking for that. That was a requirement of the job that she was already appointed to. She had to go to that school. And not to mention that she took money out of her own pocket to pay all of this stuff up front without getting paid anything, and then had to wait for reimbursement. Not that that took long by any means, it was wonderful how fast that occurred. But she's put a lot of time and a lot of her own resources into this.
So I would ask for suggestions. What we think is how we would like to proceed, if it's hourly, if it's a salary.
Well, I think it should be the set salary starting April 1st. And prior to that, I understand clearly what you're saying, Judge, but I have a problem with someone just observing. I don't have a problem with paying while you're in school, because I think that is an absolute necessity. That is all part of I mean, that's why we pay for their food and any lodging or any other stuff that they have. It's part of becoming the judge, or the associate judge in this case. They actually, I don't have a problem with that. And it's probably not a whole lot of hours involved in that observing anyway. We might be arguing over a couple $100 or something, I don't know.
We are, because from January to the end of April, which included 40 hours per school, was $77, I believe. So we're talking 30 hours.
We're not talking a whole lot of stuff.
So what's 30 times 16? That's what we're arguing about. Can't do that right now, I'm sorry.
480.
I'm good.
You're good with,
I'm good with the annual salary, and I'm good with giving her money for the work she did prior to April 1st.
You're gonna start it at April 1st.
I'm going to start the annual salary at April 1st.
okay, so you're making a motion for the justice salary, associate justice salary, $5,376 per year.
Yep.
That would have started April 1st.
Correct. Which is our budget year.
Which is her appointment, technically her appointment year, right? It's not necessarily our budget fiscal year, but that is our appointment.
That's what I meant, appointment, yeah.
Takes place April 1st or whatever that first meeting is in April.
Yep.
The reorganization meeting.
Yeah.
That takes place at the flat rate for each time she's called in?
Correct.
Okay.
That would be a flat rate paid every 2 weeks divided by 12.
And we'll take that back to this past April.
Okay.
It's part of that motion.
Okay. So we are not compensating from January until April 1st.
Let's do this motion first,
Okay.
and then haggle
Okay.
over the other part. How's that?
So Charlie made a motion for the salary for the associate justice on a yearly basis, who works at the guidance of the elected judge.
Yeah.
I would second that motion. Is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So, back to January to April.
It should be on. Our other justices were unpaid training. When she went into it,
Yes. The associate justice is always an appointed position.
Right? My opinion
Unless
is
there were
we should
two
check with their
judges.
Legal counsel, but I think that's a labor problem. If they were appointed and weren't being compensated.
I would like to say though, we've done our budget, but I would like next year, when we start the budget process, I would like the judge to sit down with us and tell us, or she doesn't have to really sit down with us, give us a list, what she's looking for in her court, as far as equipment, salaries and everything, so we have something to look at when we're appropriating funds for that office.
Absolutely.
So that's a
I
January,
mean, like
February
we asked
time
our
period.
DPW superintendent, our police chief, give us your wish list and we work from there. And I'd like to see the same from your court office.
No comment on that.
Then we go in with a hatchet, but that's another story.
Hatchets, chainsaws.
Chainsaws, right.
Kind of.
Are we done with that one?
Well, we're done from April 1st.
Right?
We haven't figured out before that.
I guess I would ask legally.
Well, I mean, define what you're arguing about, and then decide how much you want to spend on legal counsel.
Yeah, but I'm already paying you right now, so.
You're
Just
paying me
gave Maybe
right now,
he
but
just
if you want me
needs
to
more.
research it, I don't have it in my head. All right? So, you know, if we're gonna have to go back and research it and write a memo to you,
No,
you're not gonna save any money.
no, that's right.
So, you know, I think we might wanna just make a practical decision here.
Amen.
You've already indicated, I think, that the training part of the 40 hours and whatever it was, 70-some hours that were incurred in that time period
Amen.
would be paid for in any event. So you're arguing over $480, which is the remaining portion. I can tell you we can eat that up real quickly if you want us to research and write your memo.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe you might want to make a practical decision before you.
Okay.
take us to do it.
What do you say? She was training. What if we go from January to April 1st at $12 an hour for training wage, and then when she's trained, she got bumped up to the 16?
That's your call.
Huh?
That's your call.
But
I
she
mean-
did keep timesheets during that time?
She absolutely did.
I'm just throwing that out to the rest of you. Most places, a lot of places I've worked, you get paid, but as you go up the ladder, your pay rate goes up, like after 6 months or something.
That's your call.
I'll make a motion that it would be reviewed by the clerk with the amount not to exceed $480.
For the 32 hours, for the
Right.
30, whatever, $8 or $6, whatever it is.
For the months of January, February, and March, at the rate of $12 an hour.
Yep.
Except for the training or including?
That was after April 1st.
Up to April
Training was
1st.
after April 1st.
It's more than that.
Does that make sense?
I don't know, what do you think, Jan?
You get all that?
I think so.
Yeah,
With advice of counsel to help save us some money, I would have to agree.
So, who made that motion? Did
Listen to it.
Dan make the motion?
I'll second that.
Joe seconds it. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye, aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you very much.
got it. Anything else that I've forgotten? Yep, absolutely.
So I need your timesheets, right?
Yes. So Ricky will submit her timesheets to Wendy
Okay.
from January to March.
With the understanding that if it's over, how many hours did we say? 30?
I don't know, whatever $480
Okay, so
equates
it's not going to
to.
exceed the $480 at $12 an hour, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay, I will tell her that.
Or if it's a lot different.
70 hours, I thought.
No, that was
77, but
including
that was
April. That was
Okay.
including to the end of
So it's
April.
less than 70.